दृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यं निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीं यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। Verse 45. त्रैगुण्यविषया वेदाः निस्त्रैगुण्यो भवार्जुन निर्द्वन्द्वो नित्यसत्त्वस्थः निर्योगक्षेम आत्मवान्। So त्रैगुण्य विषयाः वेदाः. The Vedaha means the earlier portion of the Veda. Well, that's Traigunya Vishayaha. Trigunas all the objects which are born of three gunas. Definitely, they are born of three gunas. They are the subject matter of this Purva Bhaga of the Veda. The Karma Kanda. So the karmas are basically the means, and these objects are the ends. That has been told. Now here, and there was a question why Veda has to describe this. Ultimately, Bhagavan says one has to become Nistraigunyaha. So Nistraigunyaha means one should become free from the desire of all these objects, because desire brings the particular object. We have seen that. I have given you the example regarding depending upon your desire. Well, that's according the particular object, depending upon your desire, creates an effect in your mind, right? So some of the objects create a sukham, some create dukkham, some create a delusion. So depending. So moha, basically the delusion is a product of tamoguna. Well, it is been talked in the 16th chapter. And dukkham is basically arising out of rajoguna, and sukham is arising out of sattva. So all the objects, varieties of the objects either create a happiness or create a pain or create a delusion in your mind, and that is why all the objects are called Traigunya Vishayaha, basically, depending upon the, of course, desire. So Bhagavan says, Nistraigunyo Bhava. So you should become free from the desire of, these objects. How can you become free from the desire? And if it is so, one has to become free from the desire of the objects, then why should Veda describe? In fact, Veda has given so many objects. Shown all this as a mean, shown as an end, and the means also, the karma, rituals, etc. has been described. Why? Why should they describe? In fact, if you remove that portion, well, the Veda would be only 2 pages, really. So, voluminous part is this means and ends. And so we say, ultimately, we know why we are describing, as though Veda is telling this. All the Kamya Karmas are described basically because that's an incentive in a human life. It's an incentive. Why incentive? We don't want incentive. Because a person doesn't want to work, that is why. Why person doesn't want to work? Because anyone who is born with tamoguna, really speaking. A child is predominantly tamoguna, and that is why child is predominantly tamoguna. It knows only 2 things, eating and sleeping. Other than that, it doesn't know anything. And so, there is a lack of activity. One starts life, a human life starts with a lack of activity, tamoguna. And basically we call the earlier years of a human life is guna shudraha. Guna shudraha. Guna shudraha means in terms of guna, he is a tamoguna. Therefore, he is called guna shudraha. And therefore, you have to show incentive. Then only you become active. Otherwise, you won't. That is how even in the market also, they always give some incentives. Then only you go to buy that particular, you go for buying these products. That's how I think, in India right now, if I want to create a desire of buying a ice cream, etc., what they do is, this is a season, summer season, and therefore they provide 1+1. You should buy 1 packet of this ice cream. The one is provided to you as free. So I think varieties of the things. You buy, I think, a washing powder, and they give you some kind of a plastic or something. Something will be there. So the activity is based on incentive. Otherwise, you won't go for buying. So all the Kamya Karmas are incentive in a human life. Because human life, Veda knows very well that the human life starts with a tamoguna, a lack of activity. So he should be shown some incentive so that he will discard this even tamoguna and start activity. And so selfish activity is the first criteria. So Veda has to show all kinds of Kamya Karmas for that person. One who is a tamoguna pradhana, guna shudraha, and basically please understand this, I am talking about this, and therefore anyone who is born either in a Brahmana family or in a Vaishya family or in a Kshatriya family, but person basically is guna shudra when he is born. That's what I wanted to convey. A Jati Brahmana is a guna shudra. Jati Kshatriya also is a guna shudra. And Jati Vaishya also is a guna shudra, and Jati Shudra also is a guna shudra. Everyone is basically guna shudra. And therefore, all the Kamya Karmas, basically they are meant for the person only. So person basically starts a selfish activity and he becomes Guna Vaishya. So this is but what are you talking about? This is a lifestyle. A lifestyle given by the Veda itself. Lifestyle given by the Veda at least, so that he ultimately is going to be a Nistraygunya. So therefore he becomes free from all the gunas. And he becomes free from the desires of all the objects. So, and that is why, so he will start the activity. And of course, he will be a miser person and he won't give anything to anybody because it's a selfish activity. That is how we start. That is how we start. No one wants to give immediately to anybody. When you start earning, you won't like to share. Hardly few people, some exceptions are there. So you won't share anything. You want to enjoy, you and your family wants to enjoy. You don't want to give to anybody. Good, that's fine. But you start that activity. So, discarding all this tamoguna, you become active. So you become rajoguna pradhana. But rajoguna pradhana basically selfish activity. It's all selfish activity. And so I want to possess everything, I want to enjoy everything through the activity. Still Veda says it is fine. And I am giving you all the means and ends for that. And that is the whole Karma Kanda portion described, those Kama Karmas, only for that purpose. And very beautifully it is said, this a miser person is the most generous person. Very beautiful. You know, miser means is selfish. What I am saying is a selfish person. He doesn't want to share immediately to anybody. So a miser person is most generous. How can you say miser is most generous? Yeah. Krupanena samodata na bhuto na bhavishyati asprushaneva vittani yo anyebhya prayachati. Krupana means a miser person, very selfish person. Samodata. There is no data, donor like this miser person. Why? Na bhuto na bhavishyati. Such a donor, like a miser person, I was not there in the past and there will not be in the future. Only this gentleman, who is this selfish person, he is the most prominent donor. Why? Asprushaneva vittani. Yo anyebhya prayachati. He doesn't touch even his own wealth, and when he leaves, his entire legacy, he gives it to the people. Because people who are generous, they give part of them. So for their own sons or for anybody who are there behind this person, will get a part of it, definitely. But this person has not given to anybody, and therefore he is giving the entire legacy to his whoever may be, his near and dear ones, and therefore he is the biggest donor. That's how they say. But anyway, what is the selfish activity? Also Veda says it is good. Guna Shudra should become Guna Vaishya. Ultimately, if you want to become free from the Guna, but start with this. Guna Shudra becomes Guna Vaishya in the first state. And then Veda says, well, if your stomach is a little bit full now, then at least start giving. You know, I will give to the people whatever I like, I will consume first. That's what my tendency is. I am not talking about it, but that's my tendency. That if I like a particular thing, I will consume first. Then I feel that I have taken enough. Then I will start offering. Do you want this? Do you want this? Do you want this? Like that. Therefore, after selfish activity, you acquire a lot of things. Then Veda says, well, start Karma Yoga. Little bit do for others. Have an attitude of offering. And therefore, now selfishly active person will definitely become selfless active person. That is what is happening. You see in everybody's life. Initially in your life, you will not donate everything. You will do for yourself, and later you start giving, offering. Here donate, and you don't think in terms of money, etc. I am talking in general. And this Sakama Pradhana person will become a Nishkam Pradhana. And that is called the attitude of offering. That's called Karma Yoga. And thus now, earlier he was doing Shisakta Homa for himself. Now he may perform, after getting a wealth, he may perform a Shisakta Homa for someone else also. He is ready to perform. And therefore this is called a attitude. It's just a same. Karma is same. Karma remains same. Earlier also he was earning, right now also he is earning. And therefore whatever karma he does, the karma remains same, but he earns for others too. And that is what is told here. So selfishly active person becomes selflessly active person. So Sakama Pradhana person becomes a Nishkama Pradhana person. Guna Vaishya becomes Guna Kshatriya. So earlier he was a Guna Shudra, and then he has become, he was shown incentives, beautiful things, beautiful ends of the karma through Kama Karmas, and he employed those means, got those objects, and then Guna Vaishya has now become Guna Shudra, Guna Kshatriya. So still he is a highly active person, but he does lot of welfare, lot of philanthropy, lot of charitable things, and that is Guna Kshatriya. And then still, because ultimately, if you want this knowledge, etc., then you have to become Guna Brahmana. Therefore, Veda has to provide you some other solution also. So what happens is, when you are active, either you do for yourself or you do for others. You have to be extrovert person. That's for sure. If you want to be active person, you have to be basically extrovert person. And therefore, so such people who do not have a time for themselves, even they are doing a lot of work, social work also, doing with the offering, but they are extrovert, they don't have a relaxed mind. And therefore, so Guna Kshatriya also has to become a Guna Brahmana, means his mind should be based on Sattva. So he should be a learning person, receptive person, grasping person. Such kind of a mind is required, and therefore, then he should be offered something from the Veda, and that those means are called upasanas. So upasanas basically, of course, is meditation, and that meditation definitely based, the Ishvara's meditation will provide you this, your extrovertedness will be nullified. And so Guna Pradhana is a Sattva Guna Pradhana. And such a person, ultimately can know oneself and can become free from three gunas. He can become nistrigunya. So this is just a scheme. The lifestyle given by Veda. This is a lifestyle given by the Veda. Ultimately, why the Kamya Karmas are there, why Upasanas are there? Well, Karma and Upasana are basically meant for this purpose. Not just Karmas. Kamya Karmas are meant to make a person make active by showing incentives. Now same Karmas can become, with the attitude, can become Karma Yoga. And and through Karma Yoga, he purifies himself. He becomes a Guna Kshatriya. And such extrovertedness, etc., of course, which has generated because of the activity. It may be activity, good activity, or a selfish activity. Selfish activity has no more there, but still he has to be a contemplative person in order to know the self, etc., to gain moksha, etc. And therefore Upasana also has been shown in Veda. So this is a scheme. This is a lifestyle given in the Veda, ultimately to become free from the gunas. And therefore, basically, Bhagavan is here criticizing a earlier portion of the Veda, that is Kamya Karmas, because of the Kamana only the person is, getting a effect of all the gunas, either a Sukha, Dukkha or Moha. So Bhagavan says, Nishkamo Bhava. Bhashyakara has very nicely said, Nistre Gunyo Bhava. Bhashyakara says, Nishkamo Bhava. So basically, you become free from these desires of various objects, and have that kind of a discrimination in your life in terms of Purushartha. Basically, Kamya Karmas provide you certain objects of security and pleasure, definitely. But those objects of security and pleasure do not provide security and pleasure. Even though you impose upon them that they provide you, but ultimately those objects keep you running. Once you acquire that, then you find it is not there. So you go ahead there. Then you find that is not giving happiness. Then you go ahead. And that is how you are wasting the life. And that is called Avyavasaya Buddhi. And that is called, there is no discrimination in terms of means and ends, ultimately to become free from insecurity or the limitations or sorrow. And so Bhagavan says, I will show you the way to become Nistrigunya, how to become Nishkama. I will show you the way. I have shown you that lifestyle, but here Bhagavan is telling in other way, because this is second chapter. That was in the 16th chapter, but I thought of sharing with you. This is a big question, that why Bhagavan should criticize Kamya Karma. But this is the reason. Kamya Karmas has been shown for some purpose, but ultimately it doesn't make you acquire your goal called moksha. And therefore Bhagavan wants, or the Veda wants, ultimately people through, when they come to Veda, their single objective should be to know the Ishvara. Or to acquire, to know the Atma as a Ishvara, the Brahman. Anyway, Nirdvandvo Bhava, Bhagavan says, Nirdvandvo Bhava, Draigunya Vishayaha Vedaha, Nistraigunya Bhava Arjuna. Then Nirdvandvaha. Nirdvandvaha means you become free from this pair of opposites. And how to become free from the pair of opposites? You take it in equal measure. Sukha, Dukkha, Mana, Apmana, etc. But I look upon those objects as a means of Sukha and Dukkha. Then how can I take them as equal? Mana, Apmana, etc. Everything, I cannot take it equal. And therefore, we were yesterday, on Friday, we were discussing to become free from this pair of opposites. There are ways of doing, and that's a process. And we have started with, like, the particular object is providing me a happiness. I thought like that. So then definitely I will be in the clutch of the dvandva. Dvandva means a pair of opposites. So one is providing sukham, then this I will think it is an object of dukkham, naturally. Because once you divide the objects into a source of either happiness or unhappiness, and then you will be in the clutch of this. So one has to basically think that no object provides happiness. Why it looks like that, that's a different issue. We'll see that. But first one has to analyze that no object provides happiness, and yet happiness is there. And therefore, from where it comes, we have to see. From where it comes. And therefore, object does not provide happiness, that we have discussed several times in Tattva Bodha also. No time is called happiness. No, if you remember, no particular place is called happiness. No object is called happiness. And definitely, the senses, because of senses, we feel that there is a happiness in the object. Naturally, if senses are not there, you will suppose a sense of, the taste has become due to illness. It is not functioning properly. Then the same gulab jamun, instead of giving me the sweet taste, they will give me a bitter taste. It has happened. In a fever, it invariably happens. Same gulab jamun we don't like. Beautiful, nicely made. But that doesn't give me. So that shows it has a contribution. And Yoga Shastra goes to another extent. Yoga Shastra says if there is a particular kind of meditation, a group of meditations are there, by which you definitely concentrate on your senses, then without the objects, you get that, like suppose if I concentrate, they have a series of concentrations. If you concentrate on the nose, then you start feeling the smell of a jasmine, etc. at the tip of nose, without object jasmine being there. Really, those are there. And anyway, Swamiji, but you don't talk to us all these things. So, because the issue arises that only senses cannot provide happiness. I could not discuss this part on Friday. Object does not provide happiness. Senses also cannot provide happiness. Object and senses, when they meet, provide happiness. So contribution is from both the sides. Well, it is not. It is not. In absence of objects also, there are meditations which can give you. If you concentrate on the sense called a sense of hearing, that is a meditation, then you hear all kind of celestial sounds and beautiful music also, without object really being there. Anyway, if you don't agree with me, no problem. Suppose, this is going to happen. I was knowing that you will not agree with me because you people are very smart. But suppose a person has got a gangrene. You should go to a hospital where such people are there, where some of the limbs have been cut off from the body. Even it has been cut off, that person complains to a doctor. His leg is cut off because of the gangrene. He complains that he is getting a irritation in the ankle. Doctor says, you don't have ankle at all. We have removed half of the leg. Your ankle has gone. But he says, I am feeling. Because that registration was in the mind. Till today, ankle was there. And those impressions are still there in the mind. So even without being an object called ankle there, he is feeling that sense of irritation and then unhappiness also. So what I am saying is, the senses are there, but the object even need not be there in order to get a happiness. Okay, Swamiji, senses are providing happiness. Okay, because you are telling you are Swami, we will have to agree. No, nothing, don't worry. You should not agree. Senses cannot provide happiness at all. Because they are inert. They cannot provide happiness. They are made up of, very well. They are made up of a sattvic aspect of all the 5 elements. You know very well now. It's an inert thing. Inert thing cannot provide happiness. If inert thing provides happiness, then object also is inert, made of a tamasic aspect of the five elements. Why should not it give? It should also give, but it doesn't give, this also will not give. Anyway, the mind gives happiness. That's the third thing. How can you say mind gives happiness? In absence of objects, senses give happiness. In absence of objects and senses, mind gives happiness. That's very correct. Mind gives happiness. Well, in the dream, sometimes it gives me so much happiness that even next day I try to remember that dream and try to be happy person. What a nice dream I had, Swamiji, yesterday, etc., etc. And therefore, basically, mind is a source of happiness. Because in absence of these two, if we are getting happiness, then we have to look for another source of happiness. And therefore, mind is a source of happiness. And when I say the mind, and I am talking about the dream state, definitely. In dream state, you see varieties of the objects, and you taste varieties of the objects, and you smell varieties of the objects and become happy. And both the kinds of dream you should think, daydream and night dream, both. In daydream also people become, even though their senses are open, they are there. Objects are there, but their mind is somewhere else. And they become so happy, daydreaming. And night dream, of course. And what is the difference between the two? The difference is, in one state you are not asleep. I mean, you are not taking a sleep and you are dreaming. That's a daydreaming. And in the night dream, well, of course, you are sleeping and then dreaming. But ultimately, your mind is there. Mind alone is there in absence of objects and senses. It makes you happy. Therefore, mind is a source of the happiness. And therefore, mind is a source of happiness, then everyone, whole world now is this. Mind is everything. Mind is source of happiness. Mind is. Then Veda talks with a royal, walk and says, no, mind is not a source of happiness. In fact, there is no mind. If you ask where is mind and what is mind, you won't find mind. That is what Ramana Maharshi says, and that is what Pujya Swamiji says, and that makes sense. That makes sense. Because if you want to know the nature of the mind, it should be there as an object, but it is so momentary. When Pujya Swamiji says, when you do this hand, you are able to see a soft movement of this hand of a Swami. It itself proves that this is all thought frames, right? All the thought frames are so quick that you are able to see, not like that movie, what kind of a movie that were cartoon movies, where Brahma walks, then like that, So that is a thought, that's a frame. But here thought frames, every thought frame is so quick that we are able to see a very soft moment, where basically the mind is a momentary. How will you know the nature? How will you know nature? If it is momentary, you want to know the nature of a thing, by the time you are trying to know, it has already gone. Anyway, but forget about it. Mind is not a source of happiness. That is the reason why people want to shun the minds. People want to shun the mind for different reasons. For with the varieties of the applying the means. Some people take drugs in this country. Some people take something else. That's all called distractions, escapisms. So people want to escape from the mind. If a mind is a source of happiness, why should I escape? In fact, I should be attracted towards the mind. In fact, more the mind, more I am unhappy. That is what the problem is. People think too much. People think too much in the relationship, and which is really not there in objectively. And you think that your husband is like this, etc. And actually, that poor guy, he is not like that. And this is what is happening. And therefore, mind is not a source of happiness. And if you want to call it as a source of happiness yet, then you should call it as a source of unhappiness. That is much more than that. Much more than that. Are you agreeing? And if it is, it is a cause of both. Both cannot be there. Both cannot be there because both are opposite. You cannot call me a fire is a source of a heat and fire is a source of a cold also. I mean the coolness. You cannot tell me, because both are opposite attributes, cannot remain in one place. So if Sukha and Dukkha, I have already called you Dvandva. Dvandva means they are opposite. They fight to each other. If Sukha will be there, Dukkha has to go. If Dukkha comes, if it is powerful, Sukha has to go. So they can't remain in one place. So one locus called mind cannot be called a source of happiness or unhappiness. You have to tell one. Please tell. What do you want to call? I will agree with you. But tell with reasoning that mind is a source of happiness. If you tell me, I will tell you 1,000 ways that, well, my mind is a source of unhappiness. In fact, mind is a cause of suicide. To the extent he cannot handle his own mind now. He cannot handle his own mind. He is fed up with that. And therefore, mind is a source of depression. Mind is a source of everything. Mind is a source of despair. What is not there? All negative things, mind is a source of. All negative things, all negative. In fact, whole negativity is not there outside. Whole negativity is there in the mind itself. In fact, there is no real enemy in the creation. Mind creates an enemy. Understand this. Mind creates an enemy, because ultimately the whole world appears in the mind. That's where you see. Even though the objective world is there, but it has to enter in order to make you informed about the knowledge, about the world. And therefore, ultimately, and that is where you color that all the objects, and you don't see the object as it is. Any object you see with the coloration, and therefore it is dangerous. Mind is much more, if you want to call it as a source of happiness, I would call it, mind is much dangerous. It's a dangerous source of unhappiness and despair and suicide and all, depression and everything. And if it is so, you have to withdraw that mind is a source of happiness, because opposite things cannot remain in one place. But then I am experiencing happiness. Yeah, that's correct. Who denies that? Who denies that? We don't deny. Vedanta never says that mind is, there is no happiness at all. You have not looked at the source of happiness. That's the problem. Vedanta provides Vedanta enlightens you. What is the source of happiness? That's all. Otherwise, that's how even the Kama Karmas are basically, censured by Bhagavan, because you look upon some object as a source of happiness. It is not there. Anyway, then how will you prove what is the source of happiness, and how will you show it? Yeah, ultimately, I am the source of happiness. That's a deep sleep state. Even the mind, senses, and even the objects, all are not there. And time, space, etc. are also not there. Well, time, place, etc. are not there. Because for some people, some particular place is a source of happiness. For some people, some time is a source of happiness. People look upon time, place, and objects as a source of happiness. All the three are absent. And your organs are also absent, so-called source of happiness, called senses and mind. Everything is absent. You are there and happiness is there. Now, how will you associate? You are there and happiness is there. And nothing else is there. To whom do you call a source of happiness? Tell me. How will you associate? How will you associate? You are there and happiness is there. Fire is there and heat is there. Then how will you associate? The heat must be the nature of fire. And therefore, the source of happiness is basically the self. Source of happiness is basically the self, and from here it goes to the mind. That's how you feel the mind is happy. From the mind it goes to the senses, and that's how you feel the happiness in the senses, and ultimately it goes to the object. It goes to the object. For the ignorant person, his vision is from object. The happiness comes to the senses, from senses it goes to the mind, and from mind it goes to the me, the ego, and I say I am happy. Well, we say basically the source of happiness is I, and for Atma, and from there it goes to the object. And that is why you feel that. But then basically, why do we feel like that? Ulta. Why do you feel like that? Because of some reason. The reason is, what happens in a moment of joy is a particular desired object appears in your mind, because you have got the object. And when you get that desired objects, your mind takes a form of a desired object. And when it takes a form of a desired object, definitely you as a desirer gets resolved into that. And therefore, as a desire is resolved, the ego is resolved, and then you find your own nature, reflected in your mind. And that is why a source of happiness, that is Atma, gets reflected there in the Shanta Vritti. They call it Shanta Vritti, called the Vritti in which there is no desire now. Shanta Vritti, no agitation. Desire is basically creates agitation. When will I get? When will I get? And as the object of desire you got, and the mind has taken that form of the desire object, immediately that very desire itself resolves. The ego resolves, and the adhishthanam of ego gets reflected in the mind. But in absence of the knowledge that you are the source, you impose that the object has given you happiness. And so you say that is, and the example the acharyas give is very beautiful example. Like you wear a white shirt or white sari, let us say, and you go to a particular place. Well, and the place, they have put the red bulbs, etc. in that. And then definitely your shirt or sari, white sari, looks red. And suppose if it is a green bulb, then the sari looks yellow or green. Or the white shirt looks green. Suppose a person doesn't know that there are bulbs like that. He takes the white shirt as a red shirt, white sari as a red sari. That is what is happening. So basically, in mind also, this is the same thing is happening. Well, a desire objects is, if the desire object is there and it has not taken a form in my mind, I am not going to get a happiness. Please understand, a desire object has to enter to your mind and through the senses. And therefore, when it appears there, a very desire resolves, because you have got the object of desire. As the desire resolves, your own nature gets reflected. That is, the fullness gets reflected in the mind. But in absence of that knowledge, well, you associate that sukha, which is your nature, which got reflected in the mind, you associate with that object which has taken a shape of the mind. And therefore, you say this is the object of a happiness. Ultimately, it is like a white shirt looks red. Same way, this object, which is just an object, looks a source of happiness. The source of happiness, that bulb, I am like a red bulb. I am like a red bulb. And object is like a white shirt. And definitely it looks red because of this kind of a thing, in absence of a knowledge. Anyway, this is how it is. Sukha, dukkha, mana, apmana, jaya, parajaya, etc. All labha, hani, etc. All this. Labha, hani means basically some kind of a benefit or loss, etc. etc. And so gain and loss, let's say. All this, the dvandvas remain if you have that kind of a vision for the objects. Some objects will be looked upon as a source of gain. Some will be looked upon as a source of a loss. Some will be looked upon as a source of victory. Some will be looked upon as a source of defeat. Some will be looked upon as a source of pleasure. Some will be looked upon as a source of pain. All this. Some are looked upon as a source of, mana and apmana, etc. Respect and insult, etc. All these are looked upon basically as a dvandva, because of a lack of thinking. But under what conditions, Swamiji, I can think this way? The way you have analyzed, how can we think like that? Well, Bhagavan says, Nitya Sattvastha. If your mind has a predominance of a sattva, then only this kind of thinking is possible. Basically, if a person is under the grip of a rajoguna, he has so many desires to fulfill, and then he is active to fulfill the desires. In such a person, well, he is not ready to think in this manner, that actually the source of happiness for which I'm looking for is not the object, not the senses, not the mind, that is me alone. Well, so Bhagavan says Nitya Sattvastha. When basically you are more or less abided in this Sattva Guna, you will be able to think this way, and then only you can become free from the pairs of opposites. That is what. So if you want to become a Nirdvandvaha, you have to become a Nitya Sattvastha. This is how it the process. Nitya Sattvastha. One has to become. But how to become a Sattvic person then? How to bring that Sattva Guna, predominant Sattva Guna in life? Basically, because Rajo Guna is there, then definitely so many desires, etc. are there. And to fulfill those desires, I will be active also. I will be extrovert. And such a person cannot think. If a person has a dvesha, dislike or hatred towards, well, then also he will be, he will also look up, for him also, this to become free from the pairs of opposite is not possible naturally, because he looks upon something as a source of hatred, etc. And he also will have activity in order to get rid of it. He wants to go away from that. For him it is undesirable situation or an object or a person. Well, such people will definitely, under the spell of Rajoguna, Raga, under the spell of Tamoguna, Dvesha, and both of them will not be able to think how to become free from pairs of opposites. And Bhagavan says in 17th chapter, all activities, you can choose activity in such a way so that you can become you can abide more or less in Sattva-guna. Well, and there are Sattvic karmas also, which I am going to talk about in our Karma Yoga also. And basically what happens is Sattvic karmas, there are three types of karmas basically: Sattvic karma, Rajasic karma and Tamasic karma. There are three kinds of Shraddha. All this Bhagavan talks about. Three kinds of Shraddha: Sattviki Shraddha, Rajasiki Shraddha. Even there are foods also, where Sattvic food, etc. So all this, ultimately if you want to get abidance, more or less your mind should be get abided in Sattva Guna. Definitely you have to change your lifestyle in such a way so that there will be a predominance of Sattva Guna. And then Bhagavan even talks about Sattvic Karta, Rajas Karta, Tamas Karta also. All these things are there in 17th chapter, even in 18th chapter also. Anyway, what I am saying is Sattvic Karmas you have to choose a Sattvic Karma, that's Pancha Yagna. We have already talked about. All the time we talked about this Pancha Mahayagnas only, but there are other things also. And there are certain obligatory duties also are considered as a Sattvic Karma. Whether you like it or not, you are supposed to do. Like it or not means what? You have to kill your like and dislike in order to do them. Means you have to kill your likes and dislikes, means you have to get rid of your Raga Dveshas hold in order to do those obligatory duties. And therefore you can become free from Raga Dvesha, that is free from Rajoguna and Tamoguna. And definitely those kind of karmas definitely are Sattvic karmas, which will bring Sattva in the mind. And so Sattvic karmas are there. Shraddha also, Sattviki Shraddha, etc. is there. Even Devata Pujanam also has that kind of karma also, definitely Sattviki also is there. Well, we will not discuss, that is in 17th chapter. So basically, Nitya Sattvastha, that is very important. Sattvastha means my mind should abide in Sattva Guna. But that is the, but Nitya Sattvastha means Bhagavan feels that we sometimes get abidance in Sattva Guna. Especially, when we sit in the class or when we do puja or do some meditation. For those moments, definitely, if we are really successful on, doing Ishwar Dhyanam, etc., then you will find that your mind has become tranquil. Sattva Guna means what? Your mind has become tranquil. Your mind basically becomes, it becomes, it is free from the sorrow at that time. It's prasannam, basically, prasannam. So, it is pleasing. At that moment, the condition of the mind is a pleasing. There is a tranquility. And all these things are there. And so, Nitya Sattvastha, there are other qualities also. The Bhagavan talks about in 16th chapter. Then one loves, Swamiji, what is a sattvic mind? One who loves peace, one who loves dharma, one who loves jnana, one who loves happiness. All this, it's basically the effect of sattva-guna. So these things are all there. So, well, one is ready to, one who is ready to think, one who is ready to analyze what is the source of happiness. Anyway, so that is Bhagavan says, if you want to be free from the pairs of opposite, nirdvandvaha, then definitely nitya sattvasthaha, one has to abide into sattva-guna. I mean his mind. But then why we become rajoguni and tamoguni? That's a question. Why? Because ultimately your mind is made up of a sattvic aspect of all the elements. Then mind should basically is sattvic, right? Yeah. Then why should we bring sattva-guna, why should we say nitya sattvastha? Because mind is basically made up of sattvic aspect of the elements only. Yeah, but then there are, mind has, that is a malin sattva. And therefore basically it runs towards even rajoguna and tamoguna. What is that which makes our mind rajoguni and tamoguni? If two things are there. That's the main thing. What? Anxiety of acquiring and anxiety of protecting. These two things. We have so much anxiety of acquiring few things, and we have an anxiety of protecting what we have already. That's called yoga and kshema. So yoga and kshema. Yoga means say acquiring, and kshema means what we have acquired we want to protect. So this brings anxiety in our mind all the time. Certain things are not acquired, I want to acquire, anxiety. Certain things are acquired, but it should not go away. It includes my hair also. Yeah, hair I have acquired, but now to save them is a lot of problem. So basically, I mean, teeth are acquired, but then now I'm in a verge of losing them. So then, and youth and whatever, I mean, anything. So there is all the time anxiety. Wherever the anxiety, sattva guna is absent. Sattva guna is absent. Because the opposite of anxiety is a tranquility. And tranquility is the effect of a sattva guna. And therefore, definitely, basically, this anxiety of acquiring and protecting makes me like this. That's how Bhagavan says, if you want to abide in sattva guna more or less, well, niryoga kshema, Bhagavan says. So become free from the anxiety of acquiring and protecting. Why? Why should not I do? Look at your own life. Even you have an anxiety that I should not get painful situations in my life. Right? You don't invite painful situations. Like suppose since 6 years I have not got illness. All the days I have remained healthy. Then I don't go to a doctor after 6 years that doctor do something so that I can have a illness. you don't do that kind of a job. Because basically you don't invite the painful situations or pain as such in your life. So then if you don't invite, won't they come? They will come. They will come. Because of prarabdha. And prarabdha is nothing but Ishvara Ichcha. It's a sankalpa of Ishvara. Sankalpa of a karma phaladata. And therefore basically prarabdha should be looked upon like this. That this is Ishvara Ichcha. And therefore with the Ishvara Ichcha, dukkham comes. And sukham is his brother of the same category. And so even you don't desire, you are getting sukham. Please check after this lecture tonight how many objects you have acquired even without your desire, which has really made your life very beneficial. You will find thousands, I tell you, with the objects which you have not even desired have come in your life and have given you, have proved so much beneficial. So if dukkha comes without inviting, sukha also is going to come without your inviting. Why do you worry? Anxiety of acquiring and protecting, don't worry. And even if you try to protect, Don't try to protect. Agamaha apainaha tam titikshasva. They will go. They will go. No one. It is Ishwar Sankalpa. And a Sankalpa of a very powerful person where Jiva has no say. Jiva has no say. One is a Alpa Shaktiman, Alpagneha. He is a Sarvagnya, Sarvashaktiman. And that is his Sankalpa that this situation should come in your life as your Karma Phala. And and it will come. It will come. And therefore, Ishwar Sankalpa, and therefore, basically, it's better that you surrender to him. You take your life as a Sankalpa of Ishvara. Your body, Sankalpa of Ishvara. Your mind, Sankalpa of Ishvara. Your family, Sankalpa of Ishvara. Your senses, lack of the power, etc. Everything is a Sankalpa of Ishvara. And the surrender is called, you surrender to the Sankalpa of Ishvara. That is what Ramanujacharya said in Shodha Sharanagati. There are 6 types of surrenders he talked about. Very beautiful thing. Anukulyasya Sankalpaha. Pratikulyasya Varjanam. That's the first kind of a surrender. Anukulyasya Sankalpaha. What is Anukula? What is favorable to Ishvara is favorable to me. I don't have my own raga dvesha that this is favorable, this is unfavorable, this is a source of happiness, this is a source of unhappiness. That is Ishwar Sankalpa. My whole life is a Sankalpa of Ishvara. My body, gross body is a Sankalpa of Ishvara. Oh, but Swamiji, in morning you were saying that your own karma. Yeah, but he is a karma phaladata. He has given you. As per your karma, that is his Sankalpa that you have given this body. He has given this body to you. And this mind, this sense is everything. And on any kind of a situation in my life is ultimately Sankalpa of Ishvara. And therefore Bhagavan has already told, Yoga Kshemam Vahamya. I am the one who is providing in your life both types of situation. Don't worry about it. Don't be anxious about when will I get Sukham, when will I get Sukham. Understand that Sukha and Dukkha are brothers. One comes without inviting, other is also going to come without inviting in your life. Both are going to come. And everyone has a mixture. I have not seen anybody's life from birth up to this 50 years, all the situation unhappy. No. There will be few moments at least where even this happiness would be there. Other person would not survive. I tell you. 50 years, every moment unhappiness, I don't think any person can stand. No one can stand. So basically, maybe predominant dukkham may be there. But basically what I am saying is Sukha also comes, and that is our experience. I don't know what will be. I am giving you my own example. Radhika ji will agree with me. I don't know what will be there in dining room, right? In the evening dinner, what will be there, I don't know. In lunch, I don't know. But sometimes when you go there, your face becomes like a full moon. You seeing the things, items there. You become like a full, so happy. You have not desire. You have not shown your desire to anybody. Neither you have desired while leaving the room. Now, whatever is there, you will eat. Not for me. It's for anyone, but I am giving my own example. And when you reach there, you definitely find something so desirable. So much, very, very favorable things. What you like, you will find it. And sometimes you get something which you don't like. That happens. That happens. And so this is both the types of situation. So be free. Be free. Have a Shraddha in Ishvara. Have a Shraddha. Bhagavan says, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyam. I am the one. But he is telling for all. He is not telling for me. I am his Bhakta, but he is telling he is telling that Yoga Kshemam Vahamyam for all the jivas. Then he should have some special for me. Not that. Even though he is giving Yoga Kshema to everyone. Basically, the person who is have a sattva guna, he appreciates that he is the one who is providing me Yoga Kshema. Other people won't appreciate. Now, there were days I remember. This kind of a saying has gone even in Indian society now. Earlier, whenever something, a very favorable thing happens, a beautiful thing happens in life, they always say, oh, Bhagavan has given this. Bhagavan has given. Now people have forgotten that, really speaking. People immediately start glorifying themselves. Yeah, but I did this, and then that's how this situation has come, etc., etc. Suppose some success in business, people immediately start glorifying their own efforts rather than giving it, even in terms of saying. Well, in terms of saying, but Swamiji, it is not good. If you say that it is all Ishvara has given, it's His grace and everything, but in your heart it is not so, it's better not to speak. If you speak, someday that bhava also arises in mind. That is what Pujya Swamiji says. So at least you, to create that bhavana inside, start doing at the verbal level. Start doing. And therefore, it is good to have, even at a verbal level, to say, whenever you get a yogakshema, whenever you get a favorable things, and the things which you want, they are there in your life and they are protected, always tell that He is the one who is providing all this yogakshema. And then definitely this person will be nitya sattvastha. Definitely. One who glorifies himself, definitely he is ahankara, he is glorifying his own ahankara. His mind is not abided in sattva. So this is how, and therefore for yogakshema, since he is sure that he is the one who provides me the all kinds of situation as karmaphala, and that is his sankalpa, and therefore he remains assured that these situations I need not have to be anxious about for acquiring or for protecting. He is the one taking care of. And then if you are this kind of a thing, yogakshema, you are niryogakshema, if you become free from this yogakshema and getting anxiety for the yogakshema, then definitely you can abide in sattva guna. Because this anxiousness only brings this rajoguna and tamoguna as a predominant factor in your mind. That anxiety shows that. And therefore, if you have that appreciation, which is a fact, then the abidance in sattva guna is easier. And then adopt some of the karmas which are really sattvic karmas. Take up the obligatory duties which you have to fulfill. And whether you like it or not, take up the obligatory duties. Whether you like what is supposed to be done, good. That's best thing. Even if you don't like, you are supposed to be done and you do it. And therefore, you don't, give a support to your own likes and dislikes. And definitely, thereby, these are kind of a sattvic karmas, will make your mind more or less sattvic. There are other things also. It is a question of an attitude also is there, the sharing attitude is there, non-comparison is there, and etc. etc. All these things are there. I am going to talk that in Karma Yoga. But basically this kind of an attitude, definitely, pick up the obligatory duties which are sattvic karmas, and the attitude of a freedom, attitude of being free from the anxiety of yogakshema, definitely makes your mind more or less sattvic. And then in that mind, to think about this, that I am the source of happiness, and the happiness does not come from any other object, or neither the mind, neither the senses. No one is a source of happiness. I am the source of happiness ultimately, and therefore such a person, he can become more or less equal, has a sameness towards different pairs of opposite. And this is how Bhagavan says, nirdvandvaha, and then nityasattvastaha, niryogakshema. So what is later? It is a cause of the previous one, right? So if you want to become nirdvandvaha, the cause is for that is you should be nityasattvastaha. In order to be nityasattvastaha, one has to become free from the anxiety of yogakshema, means niryogakshema, etc. And ultimately Bhagavan says, Atmavan apramattasya bhava. Bhashyakara says, so you are very beautiful Atmavan. Atmavan means, may you possess Atma. What is this? May you possess Atma means what? May you be one whose mind and senses are with you. Here Atma, the meaning of Atma in Bhagavad Gita has all kinds of. Bhagavan called even the Sharira as Atma, Bhagavan called mind as Atma, Bhagavan called senses as Atma. Why should he call like that? Because you call it Atman, so he also calls it Atma. And therefore, basically, may you be one whose mind and senses are with you. You may be Atmavan, a master of yourself. Pujya Swamiji likes this word very much. Pujya Swamiji says this is the word Bhagavan wants, this is the concept Bhagavan wants to elaborate in the entire Bhagavad Gita. You be a master of yourself. Atma means this basically body, mind, sense complex. And Van means possessor. So may you be the possessor of the body, mind, sense complex. I am a possessor of body, mind, sense complex. No, it's not that. May you have them. May they not have you. That's what it means. May you have them. I mean, they should be under your control. May you not be in the hands of your fancies, etc. May your mind be with you, etc., etc. That's what it conveys. May you become free from indifference, mechanical thinking. That's how Bhashyakara says, Apramattasya bhava. So, Apramattasya bhava means, in other words, may you become alert. May you not have a pramada, carelessness. May you be alert person. Then only you are able to do all this. Whenever yoga kshema arises in your life, be alert and immediately pass on to Ishvara that you thank you. say thank you to him. Don't start glorifying yourself. That's pramada. That's a carelessness, which is really against, you are going against the very fact. Any situation comes in your life is a sankalpa of Ishvara. And therefore, basically, if it is regarding yoga and kshema, whatever you wanted to acquire and you have got it, and whatever you wanted to keep with you and you are able to keep it, well, say thank you to him. Being an alert person. So Atmavan goes with everything. If you are Atmavan, you can definitely become Niryoga Kshema. If you are Atmavan, you can become Nitya Sattvastha. And if you are Atmavan, well, you can become, if you are alert, basically you can become free from the pairs of opposite also. And thereby, ultimately, one is ready for Jnana. Nishkamo bhava means one is now basically is ready for, because the objects which are described in the Veda and all lot of objects basically are generating through our kamanas, generating different kinds of effect of the gunas called sukha, dukkha and moha. Well, since I am free from that and now and I am free from the kamana, basically I am free from even the vishayas of the Veda, which are three gunas. So this is how it has been told. So, and so basically the person who is a Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, definitely he is now ready for that. Atma is basically free from the guna. So he is really, in order to make, by keeping his mind free from this effect of gunas, well, he has equipped his mind in order to know himself as who is free from gunas. Because the mind, knowledge takes place in the mind, and basically you have to prepare your mind as per the object of the knowledge. Here Atma is basically gunatita. Atma is basically free from the gunas. You have to make your mind free from the gunas, relatively. And that is how you can make your mind free from the gunas. So this is how the scheme is. Well, Bhagavan is basically here, frankly speaking, praising karma yoga in indirect way. That's what it means. Basically giving up kamya karmas and still doing karma and upasana for what? Well, Bhagavan says you prepare your mind ultimately for the knowledge. Karma yoga prepares the mind for the knowledge. Karma yoga makes your mind nistraygunya, basically free from the kamanas, and ultimately, one is ready for to know the Atma, which is really free from three gunas. I am really free from three gunas. That is the fact. But in order to know that, my mind also should be free from these three gunas, relatively. Free from sukha, dukkha, moha, etc. Free from the dvandvas, etc. Free from the anxiety of this yoga kshema, and basically getting abided into sattva, etc. All this is provided by the Veda. by the Veda. Veda wants that you come up to this. That is how Bhagavan says, I as though criticize this kama karma. Well, it is basically one will remain, addicted to bhoga and aishwarya. We have discussed that. Bhoga aishwarya pratingati. Basically, the person who is not who is not clear about the means and ends, basically he remains in the realm of the Veda called Kamya Karmas. So this is how Bhagavan has shown. And of course the lifestyle I have already talked to you. One has to become Guna Brahmana. He may be a Jati Brahmana or he may be a Karma Brahmana. He may be a Jati Kshatriya. Everyone has to become Guna Brahmana. There is one goal in a Varna Vyavastha. Only one goal. That Guna Brahmana, everyone has to become a contemplative person who is free from the hold of Raga Dvesha. He is an ideal person to know that I am free from the gunas. A Guna Brahmana can transcend the gunas. Guna Shudra, Guna Vaishya cannot transcend. A Guna Shudra wants to transcend the gunas. Well, he has to become Guna Vaishya, Guna Kshatriya and Guna Brahmana. And ultimately Guna Brahmana is one where the mind is a contemplative mind, abided in sattva, more or less, free from the hold of this raga dvesha, free from the hold of these pairs of opposites, and free from the anxiety of even all yoga and kshema, having a shraddha in Ishvara as a karma phaladata, and such a person is ready for moksha. That's the goal of Veda. So Veda wants that everyone should definitely Veda wants that person, let him enter through kamya karmas, let him come through the incentives, no problem. But ultimately, he should get this jnanam and get freedom. And therefore, Vedanta, of course, is a part of the Veda and it provides the means and shows you the end, moksha also. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om.